Welcome, parents. This is for parents of students that will be in Mr. Julian's fifth grade class. There are a few special requirements I have for my class. One of the requirements that I ask that all students have would be a red pen. Now, it can be a blue pen, but not a black pen in particular. Red pen will be mainly for grading papers and then having distinguished handwriting between what we do in pencil and, of course, something that might be in pen. Absolutely positively must have our headphones or earbuds. There's going to be a lot of videos that we're going to watch, and allowing students to go back and watch videos in my class without disturbing others, having earbuds. I would strongly recommend that if you can find a deal on earbuds where maybe you can buy a package of 3 earbuds, something along those, and keep 2 of them at home because they do get lost and damaged throughout the school year, but they're absolutely positively essential to have in my classroom. So please make sure you keep stocked up on earbuds and check those fairly often with your students when they come home. The other is I'd like to have a highlighter. I don't really care what kind of color you have with a highlighter, but highlighters will be used throughout the year, and also graph paper. Now, I don't expect you to need a lot of graph paper. If you can buy just one small package of this notebook size, though, not something smaller like a small steno tablet size, but something full sheet graph paper. Keep that at home. Don't bring it into school in the very beginning. But we will be using graph paper off and on throughout the school year, and I'll always let you know when to bring that in. Now, being part of my classroom, yeah, I have some things that are perhaps a little bit special and unique, and maybe things that you've not yet experienced as a parent, and probably your child hasn't experienced as a student. And that is that my classroom, I have, especially in my math class, I call it a flipped classroom. Now, flipped classroom is where the homework assignments at night are going to be watching a video, one that either I've made or one that I've captured from YouTube, perhaps, that will show and explain how to do a particular skill at home. I may offer a few questions that go along with that video. But then the idea is that the next day, your child watches a video at home, then the next day in school, in my classroom, is when they do the actual practice of the work. So in a normal classroom, as you've recalled, a teacher will be in their classroom, they teach the skill, and then at night they send home that worksheet. And so many times, uh, kids will forget how to do a particular problem. And as parents, sometimes we don't always remember how to do certain skills. So I flip that this way here. They go home, they watch the video, they take notes over what they have to do, the steps involved in each skill, and then they bring that back with them to the classroom. And then while I'm watching them solve their questions in school, that then I'm there to help if they have any questions. So that's called a flipped classroom, and you're going to get to know a lot about that in the days and months ahead. And I'm also a one-to-one classroom. That is that the county has entrusted me with a classroom group of Chromebooks, and one will be assigned to every student in my classroom. Now, the unfortunate part is that this particular year, my one-to-one, you cannot take, or the students cannot take the Chromebooks home with them. But while they're in my room, they will always have access, and I'll have a lot of work to be done on the Chromebooks every single day. So with this, we're going to be using a program called Google Classroom. Now, Google Classroom is something that your students are most likely to become or have been familiar with in fourth grade, but I will use it every night. You need to check every single night. That needs to be a question that you ask your kids when you get home. always after about 4 p.m. because by 4 p.m. I will have updated any new information onto Google Classroom, and that's where your kids can check to see if I have any new announcements, maybe about a test review, could be anything. So anytime after 4 p.m., please check. And once over the weekend, I know that's odd, but many times I may need something to be done over the weekend, a video most likely to be watched, so we can progress on Monday morning with that next week's or the next day's assignments. Um, as the third bullet says, most nights' homework will be to watch videos. And that is going to be a requirement. So for those of you who have internet at home, please understand that. Please allow your students to watch these videos. They can be done on smartphones, tablets, and any type of computer. The videos I have will always be linked to some type of YouTube account. So if you can watch YouTube on any device that you have at home, that device will work. An iPod will work watching these videos as well. And in conjunction with that might be any unfinished work that they have from school. I will always give work time at school. In fact, most of school will be done with work time, but for whatever reasons, there might be some unfinished work. So please, when your child gets home, again after 4 o'clock, have them check Google Classroom, have them watch the video for the next night, and ask them if they have any unfinished work. The next one here talks about most assignments will be completed online, meaning that you can look at their assignments. You'll just have to have your child sign into their Google Classroom assignment and open up the document that they've been working on. Please, parents, I encourage you to do this. Double check your kids' work for spelling, capitalization, things like that. That'll be helpful for them and then for you to see what work they're doing. And finally, it says here, if you do not have internet at home, I need to know as soon as possible so I can make arrangements for your child each day to do these assignments at school somehow. So the sooner I know about when or who does not have internet, the better I can serve you. And lastly, some additional information that I think you'll find useful. I do ask for one accelerated math to be done per week. This could be either a practice or a test. ACC math needs to be done mostly at school, so this is not necessarily too much of a homework, but there could be some practices that are done at home. So please check with that with your student. Make sure they turn in one a week. By Friday is when I hold all students accountable for that. So when my kids were in fifth grade, they often worked on it over the weekend and got their questions done, and then scanned when they came back to school on Monday or Tuesday, depending on which day, if they had a day off or not. But I give an entire week to do about 20 to 25 questions, which I don't think is very unreasonable. I have a quiz in math or science or social studies, typically a quiz in math every week, and one in science or social studies, depending on if you have social studies with me. Most weeks we'll have an additional quiz. Almost every week we'll do one in math, unless we have a test that week, and then we won't do a math quiz. And speaking of quizzes, I do not offer re-quizzes. I'm sorry, there's no opportunity to do a re-quiz because quizzes are typically very short and covering very small pieces of information. They don't overall hurt a child's grade terribly, especially if it's scoring fairly well. But a quiz is just a spot check between your student and I to see, are they actually doing the homework along the way, if they've been practicing. Most of my quizzes have involved the week's types of questions that we've had. So this is just a review of what we've done that week. So a quiz should be just sort of a reminder, oops, maybe I don't really understand this material just yet, but I don't offer requizzes. However, I do offer retests. So anytime there's a test that scored below 79%, I'll let your child, maybe with some requirements, but retest all the way up until grades are due in somewhere around mid-May. So we have all year to retest on any of the tests, and the tests are count in the overall grade as 70%. So that's a big chunk of their grade. So I believe in retesting, and retesting will be for full value. So in other words, using my number here, if they scored a 79% the first time, they went back and restudied the skills, learned how to do it, and they got a 100 on their retest. In the grade book, I would cancel out the 79 and make a 100 for their new grade. And the other thing you need to know, and this is a little bit awkward, but a lot of the tests I'm going to do, because I am a one-to-one classroom, is a lot of the tests are going to be done online, meaning there's no papers to be sent home. I can make all tests, even the paper tests, available for you as a parent anytime that you ask, but all you have to do is contact me, and we set up a time, and we can go through your child's tests and see how they performed. Um, Paper tests also are not allowed to be sent home. So even if I did have a paper copy, I couldn't send it home for you to review. And as a parent, I realize how frustrating that is. But that is a county policy, and one that I am unable to change. But I will help you and assist you in any way possible. But I do have to have you come into my classroom so we can take a look at your child's tests. So I do look forward to working with each of you this particular school year. If you need to contact me, the best way is through my email at gjulian@oconee-schools.org. I respond, pretty quickly on most days. When I sometimes a little slower after school and over the weekends, but I will respond to each of your emails. If you have any questions about anything to do with your child while they're at school, please feel free to contact me. I hope fifth grade is an amazing year for you and your child, and I look forward to being your child's teacher. Please contact me with any questions. Thank you.